Did you know that a young boy drowned?
It's cursed. You're doomed if you stay here.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, poor Jason. Speaking of which, that sound is the best thing about this whole damn franchise. Hopefully that didn't spoil what I truly think about this iconic horror franchise, but let's rewind for a minute and say, hello, my friends, because today is June 13th, 2025, Friday the 13th. It is the last Friday the 13th of the year, so I thought before all suspicion and superstition goes out the window, let's talk about one of the most memorable and iconic horror films ever made, which is also celebrating its 45th anniversary this year. From Paramount Pictures, it is simply Friday the 13th, with such a hilarious and dramatic zoom breaking this glass. Now, who's gonna pick all that up? Released in 1980, directed by one of the most humble yet yearning filmmakers, Sean S. Cunningham, who just wanted to make a little horror film to make some money. Sean had some success with producing Wes Craven's Last House on the Left back in '72, and after a string of disappointing soft-core porn films and family-friendly films, one of which was knocked off by the Bad News Bears, that made little to no money, he had to turn back to horror. For statistically, horror films are the most profitable genre any filmmaker can make work. I mean, look at the ridiculousness that is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, as well as Paranormal Activity. The list goes on and on. But it was truly John Carpenter's success with Halloween that made so many filmmakers, especially Cunningham, consider how profitable they could be with making the tiniest horror picture and hopefully turning a profit. So Cunningham was very smart with this. He put out an ad in Variety magazine, a poster for Friday the 13th, thinking that the title seemed so curious and spooky that it had to send some traction. He put out the poster of just that title with broken glass, advertising it as the most terrifying film ever made. Quote, but Cunningham had nothing. He hadn't shot a single roll of film on it, let alone even had a frickin' script. So Cunningham hired Victor Miller to construct the script, which was always geared to a likely serial killer stalking and killing teenagers and making it a nice remote location, like a summer camp. Screenwriter Ron Kurz was brought in to do a little polishing, which resulted in just that premise. Teenage camp counselors come to Camp Crystal Lake to get the summer ready for the kids coming soon, but are killed off one by a mysterious killer. Who could it be? If you haven't seen any of the Friday the 13ths, let alone the first one, folks, I will get into some spoilers later on, so you have been warned. But Friday the 13th, man, I can't tell you all how much respect I sincerely have for this film and the franchise. It is not one of my favorites at all. I'll make that loud and clear for you all. I am and always will be a horror fan, but when it comes to these kind of slasher movies where character work is literally dead on arrival and we get no time to invest in these characters, it becomes so monotonous and formulaic real fast. Like the classic case of the many damsels in distress that heard a mysterious noise. They walk over, oh so silently, and so slowly, search the place, and we're hanging on the edge of our seat. It's nothing. Quietness. And then, boom, they get killed. Cue the violin screech. All that whatever. I mean, Wes Craven's Scream painted that to us 16 years after Friday the 13th came out.
Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
You get the picture. It's funny because it's true. Hence funny. Now, you all can't argue that, well, it was 1980 when this film came out. Those cliches weren't built in yet. And, well, that's not quite correct, is it? By this point of 1980, the slasher genre had already been in effect, starting with Hitchcock's Psycho in 1960, which is brilliantly and tastefully done. And significantly, don't forget about Black Christmas, which was already riffing on a holiday with a killer knocking off teens one by one in the same terrifying and surprising ways. And then, of course, Halloween, as well as many other little films that came in between. So by the time Friday the 13th came out, young kids knew what they were getting into. However, setting it on camp, like Camp Crystal Lake, that was unique. Filming it at Camp Nabibosco in Blairstown, New Jersey, where summer was done for the kids, so the filmmaking team had the whole camp to themselves, having the amazing special makeup effects designer Tom Savini in charge of the kills. That was unique and brilliant. Besides composer Harry Manfredini's great and scary score, with that brilliant addition by Manfredini himself with a which is the sound effect he composed out of
Killer, Mommy. Killer.
really cool. Tom Savini's effects are what really stand out and makes this slasher film a cut above and seals its reputation as being one of the most iconic slasher films. Each kill and death just looks so grotesque and yet realistically cinematic. It made sense since Savini was a photographer during the Vietnam War and brought back his experiences to the work he did for the screen. Obviously, the death scenes are what horror fanatics want to see and remember. And Savini basically directed each death scene, like the axe being thrown up, hitting the lamplight, giving the impression on how heavy the axe is, and seeing it in Marcy's face. Whew! Also, Kevin Bacon. Hey! Nah, let's not cut Footloose just yet, Bacon. We still need to see you get killed. So, we love seeing big stars in small little films before they blew up in the big time, right? But that sequence is damn cool. Having some nightly bang with Marcy, which, yep, if you bang in a horror film, you're dead.
A horror movie. For instance, number 1. You can never have sex. Big no-no!
And then after sex, he smokes a joint, but we remember seeing Ned's dead body in the bunk bed up above, right? And after a nice quiet moment of Bacon enjoying his joint, Bacon getting half-baked, I kill myself. The blood from Ned is dripping down on Bacon. Gives us a moment to recognize what's going on up there. And then arrow through the neck, which resulted in an accidental splash of blood you see right there through the mannequin. That is so cool. If it wasn't for the death scenes, folks, this film would suffer even more horribly. Because God bless Sean S. Cunningham, a director, he is not. All the scenes that feature the plot are astoundingly boring as frickin' hell. The performances from everybody, they're nothing to write home about, even when the big reveal comes.
How are you? Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies.
Oh, Mrs. Voorhees. And we find out that good old Betsy Palmer is the killer. And I'll be honest, when she has that monologue about her young son, Jason.
Jason should have been watched every minute. He wasn't a very good swimmer. We can go now, dear.
Betsy's quite good up to that point. And then you think we're going to have some good fighting going on here. One last showdown with the final girl, Adrienne King, right? But no, we get a few slaps and Adrienne runs. Betsy finds her again. A few slaps and hits. And Adrienne runs. Third time's a charm, right? A few slaps and Adrienne frickin' runs. I mean, was Cunningham trying to beef up the runtime here?
You've been giving us shit, and I've had it.
Betsy with the voice of Jason, yeah, I didn't buy it.
Killer, Mommy. Killer.
And Jesus, Cunningham, zoom out a bit on Betsy's face, will ya? I know I'm being nitpicky, but I mean, come on, this could have been filmed much better. It could have been done a lot more tastefully. Who cares about the time constraints? You can still be creative and know how to point a freaking camera with less resources. Now, Oscar winner Estelle Parsons was originally cast as Mrs. Voorhees, but scheduling conflicts came in the way, so next in line was Betsy, surprisingly. And yes, Betsy famously called the script a piece of shiitake, but she came around thinking, well, horror is a big thing right now. and I could really use a new Mercedes. Okay, I'll do it. And the fans love her the more for it. Palmer certainly turned her heart around on the film and embraces it for helping her become even more well-known. We got her fantastic decapitation in the end, in slow-mo, right? And with Savini's assistant's meatball hands being thrown up, since that was really him under there. Oh, cracks me up. Now, I will admit, the ending has become one of the greatest jump scare endings of all time. And I would agree, if it wasn't blatantly ripping off Brian De Palma's Carrie, which that has the scariest final jump scare I've ever seen, I would love this way more so. I mean, this whole film is a big ripoff anyway, right? With ripping off Psycho in the beginning with the character of Annie, remember her? Whom you think we're gonna follow all the way through to the camp. And then she gets it in the woods, that nice little throat cut slash, very nice work. To Black Christmas, to Halloween, to now Carrie with the ending. Oh my goodness. But the ending is a bit tastefully done, I have to say. It was a major focus to ensure audiences that the horror is over. The killer has been dispatched. The police is here. And Alice is out in the kayak, in the lake, with Manfredini's score, putting us at ultimate ease. And yeah, it goes on for frickin' ever. My God, it feels like the longest wrap up in the world. But we're gonna have a nice little soft ending to go, with. Yikes! How that got so many audience members at the time of 1980, and so many still to this day, it is incredible. The film opened in May, and in its opening weekend, earned 5 times its budget over, its budget being only a little over $500,000. Once again, they knew who their audience was, and those young kids would keep on coming back, keep going on dates, keep bringing their friends, etc., etc., becoming Paramount Pictures' second highest grossing film after Airplane in the year of 1980. Commercially, one of the greatest hits. Critically, oh boy, crucified and slaughtered by dozens of critics, especially Gene Siskel on Siskel and Ebert.
Pictures. The nudity is always gratuitous. It's just put in the film only to titillate the audience and maybe make one other point, that women who dress this way or merely uncover their bodies are somehow asking for trouble and somehow deserve the trouble they get. That's a very sick idea.
Oh, it was no joke in how Friday the 13th was the big one in receiving accounts, accusations, and interpretations of misogyny and hate towards women. And honestly, those views always come from critics who really don't like or really care for the genre. They may know, but yet it's funny how they completely forget about the basics and almost like the foundation of the genre. I mean, that's how slasher films are, man, and have been made to gender bend over the years. It's not always women, which is why the genre is still growing and doing its best to change over and over again with the times. I mean, hey, I'm never a fan of seeing just poor women being stalked and slashed. Yeah, it's horrible. But when you understand, oh yeah, it's a movie, you can get over it, all right? Nevertheless, Friday the 13th remains one of the highly praised slasher films in horror. And though it doesn't tickle my specific fancy for how tediously frickin' boring it is still praised with a cult following and represented as one of the top 10 best slasher horror films of all time. So I give Sean S. Cunningham's Friday the 13th a C. Tom Savini and Harry Manfredini are the heroes of this first entry. That would inspire even more knockoffs of the genre, which I'll definitely cover one day, Sleepaway Camp being one of the better ones in my opinion, and spawn technically 11 more films in the franchise. Crazy. And I will get to them one day. All of them, I'm sure, but it's just gonna take so much energy. So campers, tell me, Friday the 13th, the first film, what do you think of it?
I'm not afraid.
Let me know in those comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more reviews and top 10s to come, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, as always. And, oh yeah, you know what? Today is Friday the 13th. Do you really know what that means?
You see, Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Holy shiza! Happy birthday, Jason Voorhees. Make sure you all steer clear of Camp Crystal Lake then. Will you?
And he's still there.